So, I just lost my train of thought. Is there, like, I'm just curious, like, the volunteers like us who are more like high school age, um, is there a separate way you handle them entering into sort of the volunteer pool from, say, like, more like middle-aged or older range person interested in volunteering?
Our cutoff line between different volunteers is 18.
Oh.
So 18 and over, you fit into the regular volunteer corps, and you can do any of the things. You sign up for a department, you do the training in that department.
So there's required training to move
yes. You can sign up for as many departments as you want. We recommend that you don't do them all at once. Signing up in all of them at once will make you crazy and burn you out. There's too much to learn. The training does happen at different times of the year in different departments. Training can be formal or informal depending on the department and the job you're doing. I have formal training in this department for taxidermy, which takes a long time to learn, and informal training doing everything else because it's just easier that way. For kids under 18, we take them two ways. 16 to 18, you can do community service, whether it's for school or for the courts or whatever.
Is there a differentiation there between like school related and court related?
It's more an assessment of the individual and what we think you can handle and are willing to handle. And sometimes people come here, especially court related ones, they don't want to be here. And if they don't do their job well, they will get sent away and have to go someplace else, probably to pick up trash along the road.
So do you get a lot of court-required community, like people seeking to fulfill that here because it's less, it's more desirable work?
Yes. Everybody hopes they'll get to work with the animals, and legally they can't.
Yeah. What role would you say the volunteers, the like younger age volunteers, play in the museum and keeping it running?
They play a vital part. The volunteers that we have for a year-long commitment, they take care of all of our domestic animals. They do all of the scout tours. They do all the presentations for the scout tours. They help with birthday parties. They assist with other animal presentations throughout the days that we're open to the public. The other volunteers help as camp counselors. Some volunteers come in on a very short-term basis and help with a lot of the maintenance, a lot of the gardening, and maintaining the museum so that it is presentable to the public when they get here.
And the reason I work here is because I brought an injured bird in to the hospital about 11 years ago, and when I called in 2 days later to check on the status, it had died of its injuries, which were caused by my cat.
Oh, no.
And it was one of those moments where I had an epiphany where I wanted to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And I wanted to come and be a volunteer, and that's why I love and admire, really admire for their courage and adaptability, the ones that live here in the museum. And I feel close to a lot of them. The ones that come and go from the hospital, you don't get close with because you have to keep them wild.
Right.
Because you want to release them back to nature. So that's a whole different feeling. You get your joy over there from seeing their back walking away when they go back to nature.
Wow.
So I would say the largest part of this community service was sort of the grunt work of the museum itself and doing things like taking out the trash and setting up tables and cleaning things up. And from what I heard from the people that are actually employed there, it's having volunteers that are able to do that work that makes it possible for the museum to operate. I would say that in terms of just fulfilling community service requirements, it was a a good place to go. It's close to school. Um, Weekday hours, they're open until 5, so it was pretty easy to just knock out hours by going over there, and it's not a totally unpleasant place to be, but I would say that to make it a really actually fulfilling experience, you would have to make a more long-term commitment with the museum and like go through training and really be a process where you're investing a lot of time and going through workshops, which isn't really what everyone's looking for. But just simply to fulfill community service requirements, I would recommend it and say that it's worth getting your hands in there early because they will turn you away if they have too many people, and it sucks. Something that was kind of unsettling about volunteering there was that 2 times that I went to volunteer and sign in and just be there to help out, the first question they asked was whether we were there for court service, and kind of there seemed to be some suspicion there or just bad feelings about that, and kind of a lot of questions about why we were there, and really seeming like they were doing us more of a favor, and that was like a little unsettling. And after talking to some of the people that work there, it was kind of, I understood it a little better, but just that whole attitude of we don't appreciate you being here and we're suspicious of your motives, of course you don't want to just help out, was a little disconcerting at first. I don't think it's gonna go that fast. Oh shit, there's a car coming.
Oh, the car!
What are you doing? I could have stopped that.